Hello, and welcome to New Beginnings Start Today, the podcast for people who want to grow deeper in their faith in the Lord. I'm your host, Dr. Douglas Keffer, a minister, licensed clinical pastoral counselor here in Roanoke, Virginia, and I have a passion to help people to build their faith, to grow their faith. Today, we're going to talk about God forgives ultimately, and how you can ask God to help you forgive that person who has betrayed your confidence in a very personal matter, on a very personal matter. Let's look at this. How did you feel when you learned that a family member betrayed your confidence about an issue you shared with them, and they swore that they would not breathe a word to anyone about what you told them? Does the word devastated come to mind? Of course it does, and with good reason. You trusted that family member to keep your word and to keep their word and not tell anyone what you confided in them. This then raised other fears. You had no way of knowing who all that person who learned of your secret had told others. It would make it impossible for you to trust that family member with something that private ever again. They could tell you over and over again how sorry they were for betraying your confidence, but it made no difference because the damage was already done. This caused you to have a pensiveness about talking with family members because you did not know if they knew your secret or not. Talk about having anxiety about interacting with your family. It was off the charts. This kind of situation can have a negative effect when you know that the Lord demands that we learn how to forgive other people when they have wronged us. You have to be careful because Satan can foster a lie that tells you they don't deserve forgiveness because look at what they have done to you. Remember, He knows your heart and the hearts of the other people who learned of your secret that you did not want anyone to learn about. Listen to what King Solomon tells us in his prayer of dedication of the temple when he says, "Forgive and deal with everyone according to all they do, since you know their hearts, for you alone know the human heart." 2 Chronicles 6 and verse 30b. Solomon was acknowledging God's ability to know our hearts as only He can. The king is begging God to forgive his people for all the times they had turned to worshiping the pagan gods who didn't exist to begin with. But they would sacrifice not only the animals, but also their children. We think that to be incomprehensible, but it happened just the same. It is difficult even to begin to understand what would even happen in this world today if Solomon prayed for did not what he prayed for did not know the place to take place every day. Listen again, forgive and deal with everyone according to all they do, since you know their hearts, for you alone know the human heart. We would be living in mayhem as evil would be the dominant way of life. It may seem that it is, with all that we see going on in our world, that makes us wonder, where is God in all of this? I can tell you right now that God knows your heart and my heart, and He is dealing with us daily according to all that we do. That is true of everybody, even when people do not acknowledge God to be in control. They are faced with the fact that they are going to be judged by God according to what it is going on in their hearts. That is why King Solomon tells us, Keep your heart with all diligence, because out of it spring the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. This is an ominous thought. God is going to deal with us according to all that we do. What we do all comes from our hearts, and nothing is hidden from God. That is why it is so important for us to understand that when we are wronged, we have to learn how to forgive that person or the others that may have been involved, because God knows our heart. Forgiveness means to let go or to release by canceling the debt someone owes you, not because they earned it, but because God forgave you first. Jesus taught this principle to his disciples as he taught them to pray when he said, "And forgive our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors." Matthew 6 and verse 12. Biblically, forgiveness means releasing the offense and giving up the right to revenge. Forgiveness is not an option for believers. God commands it. Jesus went on to teach his disciples this truth about forgiveness when he says, "But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses." Matthew 6 and verse 15. God searches our hearts to see if we have accepted his forgiveness for what we have done wrong that caused us to sin. When we understand that process, we will see the grace God gives to us first. Then, in return, we can forgive other people for how they have wronged us. This is releasing the pain we feel and the need to get even with those who have betrayed us. When you release the offense, you also release yourself from the weight of carrying it. You're not letting them off the hook. You're placing them in God's hands, and you're walking free. I think of a young lady I sat with in my counseling ministry who told me of the pain she felt from the treatment of her mother. She never felt acceptance or approval from her mother and felt that she was always demeaned by her mother, never being able to do anything right. I sat with the two of them, and when my client shared with her mother the way she felt about her mother's treatment, the mother took no responsibility for her actions and put the blame back on my client solely. I had to teach my client that she could forgive her mother, and that would give her the freedom from all the hurt and the pain she felt. I saw this young lady grow to the point that she forgave her mother of the wrongdoings, and that allowed her to move on with her life in a very productive way. Very. She met a man, fell in love, and I had the privilege of conducting the ceremony to marry them. They live wonderfully fulfilling lives today, having the blessings of God that would not have been possible if this young girl had not made the decision to forgive her mother and move on with her life. Does this mean that those hurtful past memories never come to mind? No. It does mean that she has learned to release them so that they do not steal her joy any longer. How do you know if you have truly forgiven? Great question. The first way is that you stop replaying the offense or the offenses. You learn that your day is not centered around what has happened to you that causes you pain. You can get up in the morning and begin your day thinking about what you need to do that day and not how the offense steals your thoughts right away. Then you no longer desire revenge. You can actually enjoy your day without thinking of ways you're going to get even with that person for how they have wronged you. That is so freeing, as revenge steals away your ability to focus on the things that are important in your life. Then you can pray for them, even if it's hard. This can be so difficult. Sitting down in your prayer time and asking God to help you forgive that person or those people can often be very difficult. Injustice can come to your mind, and then thoughts of ways to get even will come to your mind as well. When you take these things to God in prayer, you're giving yourself the opportunity to allow God's Spirit to help you forgive what they did, and that can make you feel God's healing power in your life. So real. This will allow you to feel peace instead of rage. Remember, forgiveness doesn't always restore trust. Boundaries may still be necessary. I counseled a couple in which the wife learned to forgive her husband for his unfaithfulness, but we put boundaries in place for him to abide by. A boundary was that when he arrived at work, he had to call her on a phone that was a number at work that she recognized as a work number. When he left work, he had to call her from that same phone number, which allowed her to know that he should be home in a certain time. She knew how long it took to travel from the plant to the house. The husband was willing to adhere to this boundary because he knew that this was going to be a way to build trust back into the marriage that he had broken. I am glad to say I see this couple at the grocery store that we shop at, and they always say hello. Forgiveness can work and does work for those who want to be obedient to God with their lives. Forgiveness isn't the end. It's a new beginning. Jesus went to the cross to forgive you. Every wound, every scar, every drop of blood was to buy your freedom from sin and shame and unforgiveness. King David tells us the extent of that forgiveness when he wrote, "As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us." Psalm 103 and verse 12. God's forgiveness is complete. That concept can be hard for us to understand, living in a world that harbors hate and revenge. Jesus gives us the example of how to do this when he looked at his life and all the ridicule he had to deal with. He taught his disciples this lesson when he told them, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you." Matthew 5, verses 43 and 44. The formula to clear how to have success with forgiveness is this. He says, love, do good, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. Forgiveness is a daily task, and we will be rewarded by God in our lives as we learn how to do that. Thank you for listening to this episode. And I want to invite you to contact me and share how you are learning how to forgive others when wronged. Answer this question. Who do you need to forgive today because they have been unkind? If you're seeing this on YouTube, please click on the subscribe button and on the like button. Also click on the share button and share it with all your friends. That would be so helpful to me. Tell me about other issues you would like me to address by leaving your comments. And you can email me at drdouglaskaffer@gmail.com. I also encourage you to pick up a copy of my book, New Beginnings Start Today with God, which will help you with all of these issues. Click, and you can do that at my website, drdouglaskeffer.com. Click on the link below. Until next time, God bless each of you.